questions on what you observed?
When they bowed before they walked across the stage, was that because they were walking in front of the altar or whatever?
What those tablets up behind them on the altar are inscribed with the names of Confucius and his most important disciples. So yeah, this rite is taking place in a Confucian temple in Korea, and it's part of an annual ritual. It's the autumnal offering to Confucius. So, the participants in the ritual make 3 offerings, and then they go up across the across the stage, across the altar, and make that bow to the Confucius tablet. Right. So the first offering is fine silk. They then make an offering of wine, and they then make an offering of incense. So, on the basic level, that's what's going on here, right? That's the purpose of all of this, and that's why they're bowing as they cross they're bowing really sort of to the representation of Confucius. Other questions or observations about this?
How long does it usually take?
This whole ritual, about 15 minutes. It's actually it's fairly brief, but it seems a lot longer than that, right? Everything in the ritual is very slow and very deliberate. It doesn't, unfortunately, I don't know if any of you have ever been, say, to a Catholic Mass in Ireland. You're in and out in 20 minutes. Because everybody wants to get to the football game, including the priest. So they just try to get you through it as quickly as possible. So, yeah, go ahead, Darlene.
Oh, I mean.
No, by all means.
I was just gonna ask, is there a reason that they're not smiling? Like, you would think if it's a ritual to Confucius that they would show some sort of like gratitude.
Some of it is sort of the seriousness of the moment, but a lot of it is like you may notice, right? Everybody's moving in unison at the same time, right? We have this very slow, fairly simple sounding, almost kind of dissonant music. Even the costumes, right? Everything about this ritual has been more or less the same for centuries, right? Right down to the way you're supposed to hold yourself up while you're doing it, right down to the expression on your face while you're doing it. What this emphasizes in terms of Confucian belief is the importance of proper ritual practice. And ritual in Confucianism has a very, very broad definition. It doesn't just refer to formal religious rites like this one. Essentially, ritual refers to any kind of social behavior. All of your interactions with other people are governed by a complex series of codes, according to Confucian belief, right? The way you behave is dictated by your age, by your gender, by your relative social class, by the social class of the person you're interacting with, right? So, in a lot of ways, it's kind of similar to Hindu ideas of caste and dharma, right? That your specific behaviors are dictated by your station in relation to other people. But it's a slightly more flexible system, and it's less focused on personal goals, right? Essentially, dharma is supposed to get you, the individual, out of the cycle of reincarnation, right? If you follow your dharma correctly through enough lifetimes. There's not really any equivalent sense of transcendence in Confucianism. Confucianism is very much a this worldly kind of religion. In fact, one thing that we'll note as we look at the great Chinese religions, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, is that, well, it wouldn't be quite correct to say that they're atheistic religions, but none of them actually require a God concept. There are Confucians who worship gods, but it's usually like local folk religion, right? There's, a shrine to the god of this little spring, or of these rocks, or whatever, right? Same thing goes for Taoism. None of these actually require a God concept, and they all have different emphases. Confucianism emphasizes human social life. That's what's most important in Confucianism. You are defined in many ways by your ties to other people, your relationships to other people. So when we look at a ritual like this one, if one person does the wrong thing, right? If one person, extends the wrong arm at the wrong time or steps out of place in the ritual, right, it fucks up the whole thing. So Confucius, to the extent that we know what Confucius's original thoughts were, uses ritual as a metaphor for society writ large, right? Human society is a gigantic ritual in which everything moves smoothly and harmoniously as long as everyone performs their appointed parts and sticks to their appointed roles. If you step out of your role, it throws the whole world out of balance. That was kind of a long answer to your question. But I think it sort of gets at some of the issues we're going to be covering as we look at the text more closely. Any other questions or observations about the video? Does anybody know why I showed you a Confucian video or a Confucian ritual being performed in Korea and not in China?
To highlight the spread of Confucianism?
Yeah, on the one, it has spread widely across East Asia. And even in cultures that are not Confucian, Japan, for instance, Confucian ideas take hold.
Considering the government of China, Confucianism's being stamped out, or was being stamped out, I don't know what they're doing now.
Yep, exactly.
Legalism is supposed to be the one that they would
Oh, they're communists. They don't believe in religion. They kill religion. So.
Well, yeah, I think, Zach is referring to more recent history. You're talking about sort of ancient history. The legalist school is the philosophical school that sort of came after the Confucians, and the legalists were rigid authoritarians.
Right.
But no, what Zach is talking about is actually closer to why I'm showing you something that's in Korea and not in China, mainland China itself. There are very few Confucian temples in consistent operation in mainland China because starting with the Cultural Revolution in the mid-20th century, the Chinese government has sort of officially repressed Confucianism. They still use Confucius as a sort of ambassador figure for Chinese culture, but the religion itself is suppressed. Now, does anybody have any idea why a communist government might be interested in suppressing a philosophy like Confucianism?
Well, Confucianism is all about one's place in society, and communism, the ultimate goal of communism is basically for there to be no places.
Exactly. For communism aims, at least theoretically, at a classless society, right? With no hierarchies. Confucianism is based on rigid social hierarchies. And on these hierarchies sort of being in balance with each other and being consistently maintained, right? In Confucianism, your behavior towards others is entirely determined by where you rank in relation to them. So yeah, that's exactly the reason why you will not see very many Confucian ceremonies performed in mainland China. So, right, that I suppose is that then. So how'd this reading go for you? What'd you think? Yeah, Alexa.
It was pretty good. I just have a question about the master. Is
Okay.
he not a god?
He is not.
He's not a god. He's
Nope.
a human.
He is not a god.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. And I think that can be a little bit confusing because when we watch a ceremony like this, it looks like he's being worshipped, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that if you're a Confucian, you're supposed to do for departed ancestors anyway. If there is a sort of transcendent spiritual component to Confucianism, it is basically ancestor worship. Right? One of the key concepts is what's sometimes called filial piety. Right? You are supposed to respect your parents while they are alive, and when they are dead, continue to keep their memory alive, right? Continue